11 minutes past 10, good morning. It is Thursday morning. And hello to Evie, who's listening in Prescott. Good morning to you. Joining me in the studio, we did it last week and we're doing it this week again. And we do it most weeks. And we found out that it's on YouTube as well. Listen back to the show. It's all right, that, isn't it?
Fantastic. That's great, Chris.
Paul and Donal.
Good morning.
Good morning. Paul from Advanced Business Vision and Donal from Morecrofts Solicitors. So if you do want to get in touch with the show, a couple of people have during the week. You can do it during the week as well. Leave a question. That's not a problem. If you're in business, about to set up a business, if you're not sure of something, these guys are the guys here on a Thursday. Going to go to Paul first, because we've had an email in from Andrea during the week. She said, my business is in retail and the footfall is dropping and it seems to be very up and down. 1 week it's good, 1 week it's not so good. What advice can you give to me to get it consistent and keep it going up and up and up and up?
Fantastic question, and it sounds like one of those magic wand questions, you know. And sadly, we don't have a magic wand. However, nobody does. But I think there's a couple of key questions here. You know, it's about, are other retailers in that local area where? Is it Amanda? Chris, was it Amanda? You said
Andrea.
I do apologise. Sorry, Andrea. Are other retailers experiencing the same? And what are you doing to address this? Well, okay, let's just take it one step at a time, really. It's your business and you've got to address the issue. Your products and services, really, are they what your customers want? And is your offering matched to your customer needs? That's a couple of questions. Have the customer needs changed in any way? Remember last week we talked about adding value. Knowing what your customers want and then actually delivering it. We said, it's not about just having a product and thinking I'm going to go and sell that product. You've got to make sure you've got a target market out there and you've got a customer base that will actually need that product. So adding value and knowing what your customers want and need is key. And this could be a classic example of this, but based on the information we've got, I would suggest you need to look at what you are selling and the full marketing mix. Now that's a business term, the marketing mix, and I'll go into that in a bit more detail if I may, Chris. It's about product or service, it's about price, it's about place or location, and it's about promotion. It's about process, it's about people, and it's about then the physical evidence. So you can see there's a lot of P's in there, and we call it the 7 P's, basically, okay? So let's look at each of those in a bit more detail. First of all, let's look at product or service. As I've already mentioned, is it aligned to what your customers actually need or want? So have a good look at that, Andrea. Look at your pricing. Is it competitive? And we mentioned that last week when I think one of the emails in was about, the competitors are driving prices down, and we said, well, there will always be somebody out there who will potentially have a product similar to yours, if not the same, and offer it at maybe a lower price. So I would look at your price and say, basically, is it competitive, but does it reflect what I would say at and quality? Look at the place and the location where you operate in. Is it actually right for your business? Look at internet sales as a consideration, but understand where and what your marketplace is, and then look at that fantastic word of promotion, and which brings in all that marketing, as we mentioned last week. Look at the traditional methods, word of mouth, recommendation. We looked at costs as far as advertising are concerned last week. Word of mouth has got to be the most competitive, the most cost effective. Look at that customer reputation. Look at that way of building on what you've already got. Look at in-store special offers, for instance. Maybe you want to do some leaflets, in-store promotions, but look at the digital, the social media platforms as well. That could raise your profile across the well-known platforms, and there are many out there, and bring in that extra footfall. And then look at the processes. What do you have to do to sell your product and service? Look at the in-house costs. Can you maybe take some costs out to make it more effective for you? And look at the people within your team. If you're a one-man band, fantastic, it's all down to you. But if there are a team of people, are they doing what they can to reflect your business as a whole? And then obviously be proactive. Look at your business, try and identify some of the problems. I think, as we say every single week, Chris, it's if you haven't got the skills, find somebody who has and seek that expert advice. Small investment now will reap many, many good rewards down the line for you.
And I've always got the saying, as many people as, there's no I in team, and and not everybody knows doing this, doing that.
Exactly.
Everyone's got their strong points, but Donal, I've had an email in from Caroline and Gary. They're from Hoylake. They've got a business and they are looking to issue new shares to 2 individuals who are investing a small amount of cash in the company. I don't want their shares to have the same rights as my shares, or as our shares, as they are the founder of the company and want to be able to keep a level of control. What can they do in this situation?
Okay, well, that's quite a common question, actually. Caroline and Gary, you can actually have different types or different classes of shares. So, as founder shareholders, you probably have the normal, ordinary Class A shares, which entitles you to receive all of the dividends and full voting rights. You can issue new B shares, which will entitle the shareholders who hold those shares to dividends, but have no voting rights. So, in other words, Caroline and Gary can retain full control of the company, but reward those additional investors by issuing dividends at the same time as they're issuing dividends to themselves.
Excellent.
Agreed.
That is a big thing, because I know a lot of people come to me and they want to invest shares into a business, which is quite good down the line. And also we've got another question which probably helps Caroline and Gary and everyone who's in business. It always happens, and the positive thing about a business, I'm sure you'll agree, is the staff.
Absolutely.
But then again, it can be a downfall depending on their motivation.
Yep.
We had a question an email in saying, from Peter, he owns a restaurant in South Wirral. He said, I'm having difficulty with motivating some of the staff. They just don't seem to turn up and go home. No real passion for the jobs they do. Any thoughts and advice would be appreciated.
Excellent one. That's really is one, and I find particularly on a virtually a weekly basis, it's about staff morale. And as you said, Chris, the people in your business, with all respect, are the most important element of your business. You've got to do something that can turn the situation around pretty quickly. They just seem to turn up and then go home, and they've got no real passion for the job. Sounds very, very familiar. And as I say, it's an issue I find in lots of businesses. It can be difficult to motivate staff, but a motivated team are a performing team, as we've all agreed. I've got no indication at this time of the size of the restaurant in the Wirral. It could be a team where there are a number of people. So the advice I'm going to give is sort of generic, basically. Okay, but really it starts with you, the owner, the senior manager, the restaurant manager, the boss, the director. Are you engaging with your team? Are you making them feel valued? I think that's one of the key things. If somebody feels valued in a team, they're going to give you a bit more. They'll go that 110%. And we know there's no such thing as 110%, because it's only 100%, but we use that as a term. But they will go that extra mile for you. It really does happen. Over the years in businesses I've been involved in, and I now advise people on business issues, obviously, I would say to them, are you engaging your staff? Are you canvassing them for thoughts and ideas on how you can grow your business, how you can actually run your business? Because you've got a knowledge pool there, you really have. Or do you just tell them what to do? Like, go and sort that out, go and do that. Why haven't you done this? Why haven't you done that? There's a change there, isn't there?
Sometimes it's getting the boundary, isn't it? Because
exactly.
It's great to get. It's great to be on par with staff and have a good, like you say. Don't treat them too like do this, do this, do this. But then you've got to have that boundary.
Oh, absolutely. There's got to be a respect there. There's got to be respect. I believe respect is earned. It's not a thing that's a given these days. We're all human beings with feelings, and you do have to engage that side of the management process. If you don't engage that side, and you are that dictatorial, you have a dictatorial method, it can backfire. Look about offering things like training and development for your team. People respond to having additional skills and learning additional skills. Think about what you could do to give them something else. There's a danger with that, of course. You train them up, and they can move off, as we all know.
Yeah, I mean, Peter doesn't actually say in his question whether, in fact, he's actually asked the question of his staff. I mean, I think first and foremost, he needs to actually sit down with them and explain to them how important they are to the business, and without them, it's causing real problems. And it may be that having had that conversation, explaining how valuable they are and the damage they're potentially causing the business, they might actually buck up their ideas, and because frankly sometimes people do need I think you're right there. I think it's about
talking to your team, communication, open the communication channels. You know, sit down with your team as a group or on a one-to-one basis and say, listen guys, this is where we are, this is what I'm seeing and feeling, what's your thoughts on that? Well, you know, we really want to make this a success. It's a great business. What are we going to do together to get it to that next level? And you'd be surprised
but
how
also,
it moves.
I mean, you can try that as an initial step, but obviously you then need to consider, you know, does he actually have contracts of employment for the staff? And if so, does he need to go down some sort of disciplinary route? Does he need to give a verbal or written warning as a first step? To, you know, for those who need more than just gentle encouragement, you know, it often does the trick. If you just issue the first warning, then the motivation is there because they don't want to lose the job.
I think that forms part of what I would call as a performance process. So, you know, again, if there are clear structures in place in this business, the staff will realise that they've got a job to do. They've got certain objectives potentially to adhere to as a role. You know, you need to do this, this and this, and if you do this, this and this, you know, everything's fine. And as Donal says, if that's not happening, that becomes part of a performance review process. Again, a conversation between owner, manager, boss, director and the employee on maybe a quarterly, monthly, yearly basis, so that everybody knows where they are, and if performance isn't right, as Donal said, you can go down some sort of disciplinary route and then make some changes.
I mean, when I went on a course in Coventry about employment, they advised and said that what part of the day was about how to, you know, look after your staff, and and the question was, why should you pay your staff more? Well, and the answer is simply because they're important to the business, and if there's, like, for instance, in a restaurant, people come back to see a certain person. People, he gave us the example of when he owned the restaurants. Everyone come in that section and only asked for that waitress to come because she was doing a good job, and that's why you should pay them more, because she's bringing more custom in, a polite custom service, because the customers saying, can we have, say, Becky or Sue or Laura or whatever to come and serve us, because we like the way she talks to us, the way she talks to our children, her attitude, and that's why they were saying pay them or give them a bonus, because they're bringing so much custom.
Yes, that's right. I mean, reward the good employees offering an excellent service. I mean, that's also a motivation factor to the other staff who aren't actually doing that. So, but absolutely look after the good staff. Again, Peter he didn't say in his inquiry whether when these employees do turn in, whether they are offering a good service or not. You know, it may be that they're not even doing that in work, which is also causing problems. So there's a whole raft of issues that needs to be addressed, and the starting point is really to sit down with them and talk it through.
But I agree with what you said there. You know, it's about people, and people deal with people, and if you've got a certain member of your team, whether you're running a restaurant or you've got a sales organisation or a telesales organisation or whatever it may be, and people are getting on with that person, they're getting on with that person for a number of reasons, and one is because they actually like what they see, hear and what that person does. And I think from a personal experiences, you should really grab that and drive that forward and use that person as an example to the rest of the team in a nice way. Don't beat them up with a big stick. That's the old way of doing things. But bring them on board. But as Donal says, bring in some sort of review policy, procedure into your overall management systems and follow it through. Be robust, be fair, but firm is what I would suggest.
If you do want to get in touch with the programme, if you want any advice or want to speak to the guys here in the studio, 6373737. You can text Wirral, then you message to 66777, or look at our brand new website, wirralradio.co.uk. I'm joined by Paul from Advanced Business Vision and Donal from Morecrofts Solicitors, dealing with your business needs and advice. Denise Williams now, and What Friends Are For, here on your radio station on DAB across the northwest of North Wales and on 92.1 FM. It's Wirral Radio.
Are you gone, boy? Do you wonder how I spend my day?
Great song there, on DAB and FM, 92.1 FM. And we're across North Wales and the Northwest on DAB. It's good, that, isn't it? Very good morning to you in the studio. We've got the guys. We've got Paul from Advanced Business Vision and Donal from Morecrofts Solicitors. They're here every Thursday, but please do get your questions in. We're going to give them some details out in a minute. You can get in touch with them direct or bring them into the studio and we can broadcast it live on a Thursday.
Absolutely. Be great.
Great.
We're going to wrap it up with some details.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always good to be here on a Thursday morning, and we are enjoying answering the business questions that are being emailed in. So as Chris said, it would be great if you could email in. I think it's studio@wirralradio.co.uk, which is fantastic. And in the week, if anybody needs to get in touch with Donal at Morecrofts Solicitors or myself at Advanced Business Vision, we have a dedicated line. It's 0151 668 0363. That's 0151 668 0363. Or the website, which is morecrofts.co.uk or advancedbusinessvision.com.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris.
And Paul.
Thank you very much indeed, Chris. Appreciate it.
And you can listen to the show again as well on YouTube and on the website as well. It's great. Please do get in touch. They'll be back next Thursday. Bright and early. So we want as many business questions in as we can. Text Wirral then your message to 66777 and 6373737. Number 1 from 1970.